Mr. Angel No, Tito Angel, Honorary President, Domingo Yap, Honorary President, Jimmy Tang, Honorary President, John K. Tan, Honorary President, Dr. Alfonso Uy, Honorary President, and Mr. Tan Ching, Honorary President. Napakarami niyong President para kayong Senate.
Palakpakan natin. Palakpakan natin. Oral argument sa Korte Suprema kaugnay sa controversial na 2024, 2025 at 2026 national budget ang ating pag-uusapan dito sa video na to. At segue ho tayo dito sa lumabas na larawan na kung saan ay makikita itong si Joel Villanueva kasama itong si Wing Gatchalian at itong si Mig Zubiri. Naku, ano ba yan? Sen Joel, no? Kapatid ho sa pananampalataya yan. Itong si Sen Joel. Parang mataas ho kasi yung pamantayan na ibinigay natin dito sa mama na to. Hindi ho natin inaasahan. Kung sakaling totoo man kung sakaling totoo man na siya yung pang 13, sana dapat kinonsidera ho nila yung mangyari kay Senator Jinggoy. Hindi naman dapat makukulong itong si Sen Jinggoy. Sa totoo lang doon lang tayo sa totoo. Hindi dapat makukulong si Sen Jinggoy. Sa totoo lang. Dapat nasa laya si Sen Jinggoy kung pinagbigyan niya lang kasi siya yung unang kinastigo diyan eh. 'Di ba? Unang kumbaga inalok. Bago itong si Sen Joel, bago ho sila, si Sen Jinggoy muna. Siya ho kasi yung pinakamadaling palipatin eh. Hindi na sana tayo umabot sa ganito. Hindi na sana kung itong si Sen Jinggoy nagpunta na siya kagad sa kabila. Kaso hindi ho yung nasumay. Tinayuan niya ho, nanindigan ho yung mama, kaya ho siya nakakulong ho yung mga panahon. Sana itong si Senator Joel Villanueva, kung sakaling totoo man yan, God bless na lang ho sa kanya. No, alam naman ho niya kung anong dahilan at anong pinaglalaban ng kanyang mga kasama. Itong paksyon, itong si Senator Peter Cayetano. At dito rin ho pala sa video na to, sesegue ho tayo dito sa pagdalo sa pagdiriwang ng Filipino-Chinese Chambers nitong si Senate President Peter Cayetano. Pero bago wala lang yan, isang like at isang subscribe, masaya na ho tayo dyan sa magsusumal sa ating community. Yung join button, nandyan lang ho sa baba. Alam ho natin hindi birong makulong at napaka-big deal ho niyan, especially kung kayo ay public figure. Marami kayong kinukonsidera, no? Yung tipong yung political career nyo, ano na lang sasabihin ng mga taong nakapaligid sa inyo, mga kamag-anak nyo, asawa nyo, pamilya nyo. Yung asawa, pamilya, naiintindihan nila kung di ka naman talaga nagnakaw, katabi mo tuwing gabihan, mapapaliwanag mo sa kanya, yung ano yan, ganito, ganyan yan, di ba? Mapapaliwanag mo. Pero yung karamihan ng mga tao, hindi mo naman katabi matulog, hindi mo mapapaliwanag na maayos yung side mo. Pagka binugbog ka na sa social media, mainstream media, talagang durog ka dyan, di ba? Ngayon, dapat itong si Sen Joel, kung sakaling totoo man, yung pamantayan kasing ibinigay natin sa kanya medyo mataas, kaya kung sakaling totoo to, medyo na-disappoint ho tayo kay Sen Joel Villanueva. Pagdating ho kasi dito kay Chis Escudero, parang pera lang naman ginudiyos ni Chis, tsaka yung kilay niya, tsaka yung ni Heart Evangelista, di ba? Parang yung ginudiyos ni Chis Escudero di ba? Pero ito ibang pamantayan to, siyempre kapatid sa pananampalataya. Yan si Sen Joel, Sen Cayetano, SP Cayetano, yan ho magkakaparehas ng pananampalataya. Kaya yung pamantayan, yung prinsipyo na inaasahan natin dito sa mama na to, hindi ho nakabatay dito sa larawan na nakikita natin ngayong mga panahon na to. Nakakalungkot lang ho mga kababayan. Kasi hindi ko sinasabing totoo yan Hindi ko kumbaga question mark nga ng Philippine Star. Ito sabi dito, while there is no confusion yet, Sen Joel Villanueva is believed to be among the senator eyeing to join the new majority. 13 senator jumping to Gatchalian block. Naku, yari tayo dyan. Sana ibang senador na lang at hindi itong si Senator Joel Villanueva. Dahil nung in-interview siya, para daw siya sa para siya doon sa ikabubuti ng Senado. At alam niya, ang ikabubuti ng Senado ang pagiging independent nito. No? Alam niya ni Senator Joel Villanueva. Ay nakapunta ho tayo sa naging talumpati nitong si SP Cayetano dyan sa pagbisita niya sa pagdiriwang ng Filipino-Chinese Chamber. Ito.
To talk a little bit about a parallel to a biblical story to the journey of the Filipino-Chinese. The Bible talks about a persistent widow. There was this widow who suffered injustice, but she couldn't get justice. So she went to the judge in his office and said, "Judge, give me justice." The judge said, "I don't fear God. I don't fear people," did not listen to the widow. So the widow went back day after day after day. She was not listened to. So he went to his house. Probably talked to his wife, probably waited outside and told the judge, "Judge, please give me justice." Because she was so persistent, the judge finally came out and said, "I don't fear God nor man. But because you are so persistent, dahil ang kulit-kulit mo, tell me what I can do and I will give you justice." Growing up in the 1980s, talking about the American dream, I did not really feel that in the US. My mother's American. But I did not see the possibility of an American.
Kaya pala gwapito itong si SP Cayetano. Ano pala siya Ang tag dito, mistiso pala Amerikano pala na.
American dream here in the Philippines. But any one of us who had a Filipino-Chinese friend had that story of someone coming from China in the 50s, 40s, or 60s, wearing plain jeans, a plain white or black t-shirt, maybe a jacket, slippers, starting in a restaurant, in a hotel, maybe sa City Hall ni Mayor Isko, Starting in a manufacturing company, after 5 years, nakabihis na. Medyo nasa supervisor na. After 10 years, manager na. After 25 years, siya na ang may-ari ng kumpanya. That was my impression of the American dream growing up, looking at the success of the Filipino-Chinese. Maybe at this time, I just want to acknowledge Dr. Lucio Tan, of course, the Chairman Emeritus of the Federation. Mr. Victor Lim, thank you very much, sir, Mr. President, for the invitation. Your Excellency, Ambassador of China, Ambassador Kwan, thank you for the friendship of your country and our country. The ambassadors, Your Excellencies, especially of ASEAN, thank you for being here tonight. Ambassador Francis Chua, Honorary President. The immediate past President, a brother in Christ, Dr. Cecilio Pedro, good evening, sir. Mr. Angel No, Tito Angel, Honorary President. Domingo Yap, Honorary President. Jimmy Tang, Honorary President. John K. Tan, Honorary President. Dr. Alfonso Uy, Honorary President. And Mr. Tan Ching, Honorary President. Napakarami niyong President para kayong Senate.
Palakpakan natin. Palakpakan natin. Ano kaya ang masasabi nitong si Butod habang pinapakinggan niya yung talumpati na yan, itong si SP Cayetano. Pambira talaga itong si SP. Lakas man trip!
Mr. Jeffrey Nang, Executive Vice President. So after my youth in the 1980s, I became councilor in 1992, 21 years old. Wala pong Chinese community masyado sa Taguig. Wala pang BGC at the time. So yung exposure ko sa Chinese community came on 1998 when my dad was elected senator and I was elected congressman. And from an American dream, para bang usual suspect ang Filipino-Chinese businessman. Whether he was small, micro-entrepreneurship, medium, or a big businessman, parating target. Target ng BIR, target ng DOJ, target ng customs. If you remember, you invited me sometime 2013 because BIR Commissioner Henares was supposed to be your keynote speaker during your anniversary. But instead of congratulating you, if you remember, she scolded you about paying the right taxes. And when she left, I think I was there the next day, some of you were telling me, sir, why is the BIR scolding us? When most of us here are importers and traders, we deal more with the Bureau of Customs than there, and we were even given an award by the Bureau of Customs last month. So my point is perception and reality. After I was told that, sabi ko, bakit hindi niyo ako ini-invite? Nagbigay pa kayo ng award sa lahat ng nasa gobyerno ng Filipino-Chinese. Sabi nila, ba't ka namin bibigyan ng award? Amerikano ka. Amerikano nanay mo. Sabi ko, my grandfather, Blas Luna, is Chinese. His daughter, Juliana Luna, is half Chinese, which was my father's mother. Kaya kami nagkalupa sa Pateros because my great-grandfather was a Chinese surveyor. Again, perception and reality. Sometime in 2018, President Xi Jinping visited the Philippines. It was announced that it is the golden age of the relationship between China and the Philippines. I'm not a man of regret. Just like Mayor Isko, we face troubles every day, see where God brings us, and try to do our best. Di ba, Mayor? Ganun yung buhay eh. But there's only one thing looking back that I regret, that I had to resign to run for Congress and to run for Speaker before signing the joint exploration between the Philippines and China. No? Weeks lang sana inabot ko yung signing. If we signed that, hindi sana ganun kalaki ang problema natin ngayon sa presyo ng langis at saka ng natural gas because it takes 5 to 7 years for that. We could have signed it in 2018. Perception. Everyone against it and against China was saying it's not a fair deal. China was willing to give us a deal better than Malampaya and Shell. They were willing to give us that deal.
Grabe.
But because of all the noise and perception rather than reality, we were not able to do that. One thing I noticed about Chinese Filipinos and Chinese in general, when people see crisis, you see opportunity. Hindi po ba? In every opportunity, baka may business opportunity dyan. In every crisis. Sabi nga nung iba, never let a good crisis go to waste. It's true, in every crisis there are losers, there are winners. And this generation, the young men and women, the Miss and Mr. Chinatown, no? I guess they're between 20 to 25 years old. I saw them a while ago. Can you imagine 5 crises in 10 years? During Duterte's time, it depends on what side you were on. If you were pro-Duterte, you would say it's a crisis, it's a narco-politics crisis. We had a problem with drugs. If you're on the other side, you'd say it's a human rights crisis, ang daming extrajudicial killing. If you're somewhat in the middle, apareho. Problema droga, problema patayan. Before the Duterte administration ended, or in the middle, COVID-19, second crisis. 2022, right before the election, akala natin medyo yung taas ng presyo because of the Ukraine-Russia crisis was already it. Not knowing that was just a prelude to the US-Israel-Iran war now that is driving up all the prices, creating all the problems, not only inflation, logistics, etc., problems with fertilizers that we will experience in next planting season. No? But fourth is the flood control scam. The biggest corruption scandal in the Philippines ever. If we handle it correctly,
Nasa harap mo yung ano, SP Cayetano. Nasa harap mo. Yung iba sa mga involved, nasa harap mo na.
we can eliminate corruption in the country. If we don't handle it properly, we will have the biggest cover-up in our history. Number 5, not more of a crisis, but a potential crisis, AI. AI will change everything. So can you imagine in 10 years, 2016 to 2026, our young people, your children, have faced this. So in one sense, bugbog sila. On the other sense, they're probably more prepared for the future than we are. So today, as we celebrate 128 years of independence, and as I fight for the independence of the Senate, we also celebrate our friendship with China. Just like the Filipino-Chinese, marami kayong struggle sa kalye. You are not where you are today because you did not struggle. You are here today with such a big event with the top leaders of our country from different fields because you struggled with us, for us. Maybe we can do the same between the countries of the Philippines and China. With the economic crisis that is here and will get worse, who will help each other? Neighbors. Neighbors. We have real problems with China in the South China Sea. But we also have real projects of friendship. When we had a problem in Marawi, China had to retool their armory or their factories for guns because we requested guns and they were not making those type of guns. They helped us during our time of need. So, you know, it's not about being pro-US or being pro-China. It's about being pro-Philippines and saying all of them should be our friends. We should not have enemies. And that is what Filipino-Chinese is about. You don't want enemies. But whether it's in business, whether it's in government, somehow enemies just come along. Believe it or not, I'm more diplomatic, but somehow trouble finds me. But I'd rather be nowhere tonight but then celebrating with you because through your achievements, each and every table here, I see there is much hope. So again, thank you for this opportunity. Mabuhay ang Filipino-Chinese, mabuhay ang relationship ng ating mahal na bansang Pilipinas and China.
Palakpakan muna natin itong si SP Cayetano. Yung mga hindi pumalakpak, mahal si Kokak. Pa tayo dito, pambira naman o. Nandun din kasi si Kokak, pero okay na narinig natin yung mga punto de vista nitong si SP Cayetano doon sa kanya naging talumpati dyan sa pagdiriwang ng anibersaryo ng Filipino-Chinese Chambers. Dito tayo, oral argument sa Korte Suprema. Yay!
Thank you. In your petition, you stated that the scheme of transferring items from programmed appropriations to unprogrammed appropriations is done in order to accommodate replacement pet projects, which are assured of funding. Can you please specify these items?
Your Honor, I'm afraid I will not be able to specify these items because what was included in the petition are the unprogrammed side, which we enumerated.
Yes, correct. But it is your position
Yes.
in the petition filed by the late Congressperson Lagman that there was a scheme of transferring items from programmed to unprogrammed appropriations in order to accommodate pet projects. So you should have you should be able to identify these items because you made that conclusion. All right, if you cannot identify them now, please submit to the court these items. It's very important that we substantiate our conclusions.
We submit, Your Honor.
All right. Now, where did you draw the conclusion that the transfer was done to accommodate replacement pet projects which are assured of funding? Where did you get that conclusion?
May I answer, Your Honor?
Yes, please.
Your Honor, as stated in the petition of the late Congressman Ed Lagman, Your Honor, during the deliberation, Your Honor, of one pending bill, Your Honor, in the Congress, Your Honor, during the interpellation conducted by the late Congressman Ed Lagman and former also representative of the 2nd District or I think 3rd District of Albay, the Amici Curie, Your Honor, Congressman Joey Salcedo, Your Honor, it was stated, Your Honor, that these pet projects, Your Honor, as being drawn, Your Honor, is that program appropriations, let's say, for example, Your Honor, a program appropriation of a barangay hall, Your Honor, as stated in
May
our
I
petition.
interrupt you, Attorney Barreda? You are talking about the deliberations.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And these deliberations are matters of record. My question was, for you to draw the conclusion, where did you draw? Did you draw it from that deliberation? From those minutes of the deliberation?
Your Honor, it is our petition, Your Honor, that we draw our conclusion, Your Honor, in the practice of the Congress, Your Honor.
Yes,
from
but you are saying there is that practice. But you know, that is a conclusion of fact. what evidence supports that conclusion? For example, what are these specific pet projects?
Your Honor, we undertake, Your Honor, to submit the necessary documents, Your Honor, in order for us to suffice the allegations contained in the petition of the late Congressman Ed Salazar, Your
Yes,
Honor.
that will be fair.
Yes, Your Honor.
We don't just draw conclusions. We have to substantiate our conclusions. All right. You also stated that the transfer is effected because the funding under unprogrammed appropriations is assured. What made you conclude that the funding for these so-called specific pet projects, when moved to unprogrammed appropriations, are assured of funding?
Your Honor, if we go back to the Pimentel case, this is the reason why they were trying to get the funds from PhilHealth in order to fund the unprogrammed appropriations, Your Honor. As you were the
So
ponent.
you're drawing the conclusion, your conclusion from the ruling of the court?
Yes, Your Honor.
What part of the ruling of the court
Well,
states that?
well,
That when moved, items that are originally under programmed appropriations are moved to unprogrammed appropriations for the reason that if it is moved, then funding is assured. What part of our decision states that?
there is nothing in the decision that states that. But since, Your Honor, that this becomes within the ambit now of the executive, in order to identify which of the unprogrammed appropriations will be funded. So it's as if it is a post-enactment
It is
discretion.
as if. It is as
Sorry.
if. All right. So you don't believe the Solicitor General when she repeatedly says that while programmed appropriations are committed by the government, hence are assured of funding, unprogrammed appropriations are not committed by the government, not assured of funding, and in fact, dependent on the happening of one or more of the three triggers that she mentioned. You don't believe that?
I believe that, Your Honor. Yes.
So, you just debunked your own argument. All right. So, because I will follow your argument, are you now saying that the element of commitment is present, whether programmed or unprogrammed?
Well, for Madam Justice, with regard to program, there's a commitment of funding.
Correct.
With regard to unprogrammed, there is none until those triggers happen.
Yes.
Now, in the 2024 budget, the reason that the PhilHealth funds and the other GOCC funds were supposedly taken, not supposedly, but taken by the government based on the GAA, was to now fund programs in the unprogrammed appropriations.
Correct. But your statement is this. The items under the program appropriation are moved to unprogrammed precisely because the unprogrammed appropriations are assured of funding, which is contradictory to the repeated statement of the Solicitor General. And now to your statement.
Your Honor, if there was no attempt to acquire the funds of
Yes,
PhilHealth,
but I don't want just attempt. I just want the real thing here. All right. So, is it fair to say, based on your position, that for unprogrammed items, the commitment for funding is in reality much stronger than for program funds?
yes, Your Honor.
Why do you say that?
Because it's based on, there has to be excess funds, new loans to fund the
Assured,
program.
but are these not triggered by three
Yes.
events?
Those are the
so
three.
how can these events be assured of being triggered?
They will not be.
They too, the happening is also contingent. So where is the assured funding there?
Your Honor, I'm just basing my argument based on what happened in the 2024 budget when there was the move to acquire the PhilHealth funds, the PDIC funds, and other GOCs.
All right. Yes, I go to my next question. Is there an invalid exercise of the power of the purse each time a programmed item is transferred to unprogrammed appropriation?
There is none, Your Honor, as long as it does not exceed what was submitted by the Office of the President under the NEP.
So, you're saying that the provision on unprogrammed appropriation is not unconstitutional per se.
Yes.
Yes. So it depends on certain conditions, compliance with certain requisites
Yes, Your Honor.
before it could be called unconstitutional.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So has the transfer of items from program to unprogrammed been a historical practice of Congress?
Yes, it has been. Your Honor.
Yes. So can you please cite specific GAAs to establish the so-called historical practice of Congress?
There were under the administration of President Aquino where there were unprogrammed appropriations, but they were not eventually also funded because the triggers were not met, Your Honor.
All right. So next time, can you please submit to the
Yes,
court
Your
the
Honor.
historical
Yes, Your Honor.
movement of this GAAs, unprogrammed appropriation? So my last question for you is this. Is a long-standing historical practice a valid ground to sustain its constitutionality?
It depends, Your Honor. If there are actions that later on would show unconstitutional acts done by one branch of the legislative branch of government, then historical practice can be stopped by the court or reviewed by the court whether it is still within the bounds of the Constitution.
Okay, very well. Thank you. May I call on Attorney Joseph Lemuel Bakiran and Attorney Reneline Arellano. Thank you. In your petition, you submitted that automatic appropriations are expenditures which do not require annual legislative action by Congress by virtue of their nature and enabling laws for specific purposes. According to you, one of these automatic appropriations is the SAGF, or the Special Accounts in the General Fund. Correct? Yes. You enumerated enabling laws which provide for SAGF. And we flash this now on the screen, the laws. All right. Attorney Cuevas, will you please be kind enough to read into the records this enumeration?
Republic Act number 11239, Special Road Fund, RA number 9496 and RA number 10848, Agricultural Competitiveness Fund, RA number 8800, Remedies Fund and Competitiveness Enhancement Measures Fund of the Safeguard Measures Act, RA number 10654, Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, Fisheries Management Fund, RA number 9335, Reward and Incentives Fund of the Attrition Act of 2005.
Yes, thank you very much. Counsel, is it your position that the funds assigned to these accounts are fixed by their respective enabling laws?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. So much so that these funds cannot be increased or decreased by Congress in the GAA.
That is correct, Your
Correct.
Honor.
Did Congress violate this under the 2024 and 2025 GAAs?
As far as we are concerned, Your Honor, we only have the data for the 2025 GAA, Your
Yes,
Honor.
so did Congress violate this?
Yes, Your Honor.
How?
By increasing the amounts stated in the special provisions of this SAGF, of these special accounts in the general funds, Your Honor.
So are you saying that Congress increased the amount for SAGF and it acted ultra vires, even without looking into the particular enabling laws?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Yes. Do the enabling laws contain a clause for augmentation by Congress outside the sources from which these funds are coming from?
As far as the Motor Vehicles Users Fund is concerned, Your Honor, there is a clause that specifically... Attorney Bakiran will answer for that, Your Honor.
Well, as far as the special road fund, Your Honor, the law is silent as to the right to augment, Your Honor. However, this previous provision, the Section 8, which was amended by Republic Act 11239, there is the law says that aside from the motor vehicles users charge, it can be augmented from other sources. However, with the enactment of Republic Act 11239, the law is silent as to augmentation, Your Honor.
So which means that
It cannot be augmented from other sources.
otherwise it should have been maintained.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. So because you cited it in your enumeration, the Safeguard Measures Act under RA 8800. This act authorizes the DA, the DTI, and the Tariff Commission to collect such fees, charges, and safeguard duties that are deemed necessary. 50% of the revenue collected from such fees, charges, and safeguard duties shall be set aside in a remedies fund, which shall be earmarked for the use of these agencies in the implementation of remedies. The remaining 50% shall be deposited under a special account to be created in the National Treasury and shall be earmarked for competitiveness enhancement measures for the industries affected by the increased imports. Now, noticeably, in the 2025 GAA, the BICAM increased the remedies fund from 10 million to 38.569 million, and the competitiveness enhancement measures fund from 250 million to 1.250 billion. Can an agency's SAGF be increased by Congress through sources that are not indicated in the enabling law?
We respectfully submit, Your Honor, that the Congress may not increase the fund appropriated by the by the executive.
Yes. In the 2025 GAA, applying this provision of RA 8800, which specifies the percentage of the fund to be assigned to the revenue, to remedies fund, and to special account to be created in the National Treasury for competitiveness enhancement. Did the 2025 GAA violate this assigned percentage?
Yes, Your Honor, because the amount that should be indicated in the NEP, Your Honor, was the result of the fiscal programming made by the Executive Department, Your Honor.
Did the Congress here, in fact, source funds that are not that are outside the funds collected by way of charges and fees?
Yes, Your Honor. With respect to MVUC, Your Honor, we have the number.
Specifically, Your Honor, for the motor vehicle user charge, it is we humbly submit that it was sourced from other sources other than what's stated by the enabling law. If we go to the special provision, Your Honor, under the GAA, it was stated there that the special road fund shall only constitute around 16 billion plus. However, Your Honor, in the line item, it is now 34 billion. If you compare that with the national expenditure program provided by the President, Your Honor, the special provision remains at 16 billion, and at the same time, the line item remains at 16 billion. Therefore, Your Honor, it is the humble submission of the petitioners that the excess amount of the 16 billion that was mentioned was sourced from other sources other than the motor vehicle users charge, Your Honor.
All right. On that score, we will ask the good Solicitor General to please furnish us with the outside sources that raised the road users fund.
Your Honor,
yes,
to submit
yes,
subsequently.
yes.
Yes, Your Honor,
Thank
we will
you.
comply. Thank you.
All right. You're both excused.
Thank you,
Your Honor.
Now, Attorney Salenga.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Yes, good morning. In your petition, you stated that the President's certification of urgency of House Bill number 8980, which was later enacted into the 2024 GAA, was invalid because when he did so, there was no public calamity or emergency to justify it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right? In our PhilHealth decision, though, the court ruled with finality that the only appropriate judge of whether a certification of urgency is proper is the Congress. No one else, not even the court, absent any proof that it is tainted with grave abuse of discretion. It is for Congress that this certification is intended, and so it is Congress alone which stands as the judge of its proper usage. When
Yes,
you
Your Honor.
challenge anew the validity of the President's certification of urgency of House Bill 8980, are you asking the court to reconsider its ruling on
Yes,
the
Your-
issue in the PhilHealth case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes?
Yes, Your Honor.
But you did not file a motion for reconsideration?
Your Honor, we were not party to the PhilHealth case, but to this case, Your Honor, Pimentel versus Bersami, we are alleging, Your Honor, and arguing, Your
So
Honor.
you're not bound by the rulings of this court being part of the law of the land
As
and
yes, Your Honor.
being immutable.
Yes, Your
Because
Honor.
it has become final and executory
Your Honor, there's always room for
for improvement.
or subsequent decisions, Your Honor.
Yes, correct. But it is also your duty, all right, to offer argument to dismantle our ruling in the PhilHealth case, which, by the way, is only 6 months old.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, to be frank, Your Honor, I am not counsel to the original or that just 6-month-old decision of Pimentel versus the House of
It's
Representatives.
all
Your
right.
Honor.
You want to challenge it now?
Now, ma'am.
All
Yes,
right.
Your Honor.
So in challenging it,
Yes,
you
Your
must
Honor.
dismantle the ruling of the court.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Attorney Salenga.
Welcome, Your Honor.
Yes, you
Welcome.
may take your seat.
Thank you, Your Honor.
May I respectfully call for Professor Monson. Thank you. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes, by way of trivia, you know, you were our guest in the OSD twice. Can you recall that? Yes.
I'm sorry,
Yes, yes.
my memory is not as good as it once was.
When the executive started requiring flag raising ceremony every Monday.
Yes,
Yes.
now
I
I
was
recall.
assigned to invite guests. And you know, you were our guest twice, not just once. And each invitation of ours, you graciously accepted it. So I'd like to thank you again. I think I haven't thanked you enough. Thanks.
It was my honor.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. And you were so much younger then. So was I. So was I.
We have both reached ripe old
Yes.
ages.
Graciously, I would like to believe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Professor, during the first oral arguments, you mentioned that the unprogrammed appropriations are our policymakers' new form of pork,
Yes.
which the court struck down as unconstitutional in Belgica. That unprogrammed appropriation is just a repackaging or under a new label. My first question is, with the pork barrel before Belgica had broad purposes.
I beg your pardon?
Yes, the pork barrel before Belgica had broad purposes.
Yes.
Yes. Is this feature found in the unprogrammed appropriations now?
Well, Your Honor, the unprogrammed appropriations has been used as a a new form of pork barrel, because before the pork barrel was all the congressmen were entitled to certain amounts of money and the senators were entitled to certain amounts of money. It was all very clear in the PDAF, right? And then the court ruled that the PDAF was unconstitutional, and that the court, I think at that time, also said that it's thinking that the congressmen and senators knew more than the executive what the needs of the Filipinos was erroneous. All right. The court came with its removal of the PDAF, but the court's ruling said that as long as it was itemized, it was no longer pork. I thought that was a very poor definition of what a pork barrel, no offense, meant. As long as it was itemized, it could come in. And so that's what the congressmen did. They itemized and they brought it in. Right? They itemized, and this is what happened during the Duterte administration. They itemized, and although Duterte said he was against corruption, etc., his Speaker of the House said that this was not pork because these were all itemized. All right? That's the start of the whole problem. Then what happened after that was the congressmen decided to make, well, Congress and the executive. Congress and the executive decided to make the whole DPWH infrastructure.
Yes, ma'am. I'll go to that, ma'am. Now, I'd like to focus on the broad purposes that characterize the pork barrel that was struck down by Belgica. So, are these broad purposes also found in the present unprogrammed appropriations?
Because, Your Honor, the unprogrammed appropriations is used as the vehicle. For pork barrel. It is not itself the pork barrel. It is the vehicle for whatever
the means to an end.
It's a convenient. It's a convenient repository because it's there in the budget. It was used by the congressman as a convenient repository. In other words, this was not what it was before, but it became this way.
All right.
That is my interpretation
Yes,
of what
ma'am.
it is.
Thank
So,
you.
Okay.
Now, Belgica allowed a post-enactment. Before Belgica, the pork barrel allowed a post-enactment political selection. Is this feature also found in the unprogrammed appropriations? And which part of it?
No, it's not. Because I said the unprogrammed appropriations is merely a repository.
Also, ma'am, are you saying that the unprogrammed funds now, which constitute the present pork barrel, does not allow a post-enactment political selection?
I don't think it allows. Ben?
All right,
No,
ma'am.
I don't know the answer to that question,
So
ma'am.
the third one is the PDAF before Belgica bore a release leverage. So is this also found in the unprogrammed appropriations?
Well,
And which part of it?
I don't think the release leverage was part of the law. It just, if,
It's not
If it's
part
in
of the law, yes.
Your Honor, when it goes into the unprogrammed appropriations, the way it becomes pork barrel is because the executive chooses, because everything in the unprogrammed appropriations must be, before it gets out, must be approved by the executive.
So is that leverage?
That is what I consider
Yes.
leverage.
All right. Very well. So you also mentioned that pork came back with a vengeance.
Oh boy, did it.
And then, which part of the GAAs of 2024 and 2025 are you referring to as pork barrel coming with
With
a
the
vengeance?
Well, the whole DPWH budget became pork barrel because they have this PBMM manner of allocating funds, the allocables and the unallocables, and the allocables were part of the DPWH infrastructure budget, and also the unallocables were even used. And so that's one. The second way it came back with a vengeance is because before the congressmen were only allowed to get pork barrel for their districts, and now in the new pork barrel, congressmen could park their money in other districts, and the other districts' congressmen would get a certain amount of monny. I mean, it became a market transaction. That is why I call it a pork barrel with a vengeance. Because, you know, it just became marketplace transactions. Just the original pork barrel was so that the congressmen would be able to put projects in their district. There was no SOP. I mean, I don't think that in the United States, when the congressmen have pork barrel, they get SOP. But now apparently the congressmen get SOP, meaning to say it is not only their district that is benefited, it is they that are benefited. And they are benefited more per capita than their district. That's why I call it pork barrel
Yes,
with a
ma'am.
vengeance.
And you also mentioned perverted prioritization. Can you please enlighten us?
By perverted prioritization, I mean to say that, for example, the Philippine Development Plan has its priorities, right? The congressmen have the priorities. Their prioritization is completely different or completely out of sync with what the Philippine Development Plan wants. For example, the flood control. You know, so much money was brought to the flood control. That is a perverted prioritization. Flood control was, I mean, the targets for flood control, I don't remember the figures, but the targets for flood control were, for example, 1.2 billion, and actually 1.9 billion was spent for flood control. Some, you know, the orders of magnitude. That is a perverted prioritization.
Yes, very well, ma'am. In your opinion, do we need to totally strike down the unprogrammed appropriations?
Well, Your Honor,
For the sake of good governance, for the sake of busting corruption?
in a single word, ma'am, yes. Because, for example, the current budget secretary, who I have wanted to hear in this court, had a very good research paper on unprogrammed appropriations. And as a researcher, he was saying that unprogrammed appropriations, we are the only country in the world that has unprogrammed appropriations in their budget. So absolutely, it is totally unnecessary. If ever there's one single thing that would allow it, and I don't agree with it myself, is if it had to do with foreign assisted projects. But in this day and age where everything is planned so properly, there is no need for unprogrammed appropriations. There are other items in the budget which cover that, and other countries use those items.
Yes, ma'am. Is it your position that the total removal of the appropriations, unprogrammed appropriations, will serve as a ghostbuster?
Certainly, but I do not...
A buster of ghost projects?
No, knowing the initiative of our congressmen and apparently our senators, they will find something else. It is always going to be a game of we'll catch you, we'll stop you, you'll start again. Unfortunately,
It's
that's
not
what
a
I think
game
it is.
of
It's not
catch me if you can.
for them, yes. And it is the Supreme Court that will have to catch them all the time. I'm sorry to say.
Yun lang. Yun ang nakakalungkot ng mga kababayan. Talagang ito mga magnanakaw nga eh. Diba? Yung mga pakboy, yung mga magchichicks, kahit anong gawin mo magchichicks yan. Magbababae yan. Diba? Tanongin natin si Erwin tsaka ito si Rapi. Diba? Pagka ikaw ay magbababae ka kahit anong gawin mo. Pagka ikaw ay iinom at iinom ka kahit na anong gawin mo. At itong mga magnanakaw na congressman at senador na to, kahit anong palit natin, tanggal ng appropriation, mga unprogram appropriation. Diba? Kung magnanakaw yan, magnanakaw yan. So ladies, dito na natatapusin niya ang oral argument na yan. Bottom line dito, dapat ideklara ng unconstitutional yan. Tanggalin yan. Diba? Tanggalin yung unprogram. Ang daming dapat pondohan. Ba't yung mga unprogram? Pambihira. Kaya tayo nagkahindot-hindot siya nakalipas sa 3 taon dahil dyan sa mga budget na yan. Maraming salamat o. Mag-ingat o kay lahat. Pilipinas, pambihira o.